Hey, and welcome back to the Artificial DM. Thanks again to all of you who make this possible, and we're going to go ahead and get into some more viewer-submitted stories. This story is sent in by Spriggs. Thanks for sharing your tale. Why even online, you should focus. Hi. First time really putting down one of these kinds of stories, but I felt it was right to share with others. For making it easy to read, I will name the people after their classes. I'm in a Pathfinder game that's in the setting of Fallout, with no magic besides occult magic. The story is about the gunslinger, who refused or wasn't willing to pay attention to the GM or the players. So our group found a facility that was abandoned and did questionable experiments on people. The barbarian and I went around room to room, clearing the place, while the ninja and slayer wandered about in the emptier parts. Sometime during the room clearing, I activated an alarm and tried to turn it off the normal way. Then I tried to do it the barbarian way, and broke the screen by punching it, and the alarm didn't stop. The whole time we were doing this, the gunslinger who was meant to be playing was on Discord, posting up videos about anime girls and VTubers, and didn't know that we were playing till the slayer told him. At the time, me and the other barbarian were in a battle with a sentry bot, and the gunslinger just rushed in, asking if he could try to reprogram it, as the other barbarian was on top of the sentry bot and preparing to rip its head off. I told the guy that he was too late to really try that, as we already knew what we were going to do. Once the sentry bot was dealt with, the gunslinger went into the areas we cleared up, and tried pulling information off the computers. I told the gunslinger that the ninja already did that, but he still proceeded with rolling engineering, trying to find something, even after the ninja and I told him that there was nothing. He ended up rolling high. The GM told him he found a schematic to a giant robot, and in the same post, said that if the alarm that the gunslinger is next to doesn't stop, then something bad would happen. Since me and the other barbarian are pretty much too tiny-brained to deal with computers, the only people that can really do anything is the slayer, the ninja, and the gunslinger, with the last being in a room next to the computer. I tell the gunslinger in Discord to stop the alarm, because he has the skills for it, but he's trying to download the location of the area now. I tell him in Roll20 chat to nix the download and fix the computer. He tells me that he wants to finish the download first. He also then says that he can't because he doesn't have the parts. I tell him that he can take the computer he's in front of, but he doesn't listen and disappears for a couple of minutes before coming back and asking if there's anything else on the computer he's on. At this point, I'm drawing on the map where the computer is, and that it's making an alarm. He either ignores that too, or he just doesn't care. Suddenly, the bad thing comes that the GM warned us about. A pack of tunnelers burst from the floor, and since he was in the area by himself, he was surrounded, and on the surprise round, he nearly got one-shotted. The exit to this room was body-blocked by 2 tunnelers, while outside, the other barbarian tried to help him by drawing some of the tunnelers, since all the gunslinger had was a pistol. He tried to shoot one, and drew in more of them into the hallway. The gunslinger was pretty much screwed. He couldn't get out of the door, even if he made a bull rush. He later tried, and even if he did, he needed to get past 2 lizards in the hallway waiting for him. While I wanted to try to help him, I felt that he pretty much made his bed here, and he wasn't the only one that was going to pay for it. He ended up asking if the slayer could be live bait for the tunnelers, before the barbarian cut in, saying that he's trying to help the best he can. I ended up telling the slayer not to do it, as they would die, and the gunslinger was already partway in the grave. I ended up telling the gunslinger that he should have listened, and before I could berate him, the barbarian stops me. The turns keep going, as the tunnelers cut down the gunslinger, then finishes him off by dragging his unconscious body into one of their tunnels. The gunslinger explodes on the Discord, and calls the GM a warmonger GM, which is the same type of GM the gunslinger played with before. But all of us stand up for the GM. The ninja tells the gunslinger that he had the ability to stop the alarm by tearing apart the computer in front of him and fixing it. The barbarian tells the gunslinger that he helped as much as he could, but if the gunslinger didn't shoot his gun, then he would have had less of them to worry about. I told him that he should have stopped the download and just shut off the alarm. The slayer mentioned how the GM warned us multiple times. The gunslinger starts to plead with the GM, as he doesn't want to make another character, but the barbarian just tells him he doesn't want to hear it and shuts him down. Distracted gaming is one of the worst sins. You have what sounds like 5 or 6 people together, which it's hard to line up everybody's schedules to play, and the gunslinger is being very flippant about that time. Good on you players for stepping up and telling the player, no, you're in the wrong here. A Call to Arms by Angelica. Thanks for sharing your tale. The story takes place in a Mage the Awakening First Edition campaign. To understand or appreciate it, a little background is needed for the primary player character involved. This player character was called Grey Wolf. He was a Marine and veteran of the wars in Iraq and Syria, who awakened as a Thyrsus and joined the Adamantine Era Order. He was made in homage to the action heroes of the 80s and 90s, think Stallone and Schwarzenegger. I should also say that his player was the only experienced player of the group, who is good at game systems and maximizing builds to accomplish what the player is looking to do. I was GMing. For those who aren't familiar, in Mage the Awakening, characters can get crazy powerful, provided they know what they're doing, in ways that exceed high-level casters in D&D. In particular, Grey Wolf was built to cast long-duration buff spells on himself, at intervals of once a month, such that he could take times of seclusion to richly cast them again. This story occurs fairly late in the campaign, when Grey Wolf was a master of the Life Arcana, and similarly skilled in the Mind Arcana, which he picked up as a legacy. Think of a legacy as a subclass. With these, he boosted every attribute of the character, strength, stamina, and so on, and had a healing factor that would make Wolverine blush. He could literally be 1 point from dead to full in a single turn. Lastly, he had non-obvious features of several animals grafted into his body at a genetic level. Of these, the important one of the story was the ability of the axolotl to regenerate limbs. The other thing you should know about Grey Wolf is that because of the player's experience and the character's nature, he was the default leader of the group, and that his player played him to the Thyrsus type, acting and not planning. Now on to the story. The Cabal was trying to investigate disturbance in the Shadow, a realm of spirits that existed in parallel to the real world, that was causing the spirits to flee into the material and wreak havoc. The Cabal was looking for a certain region in Las Vegas. Now, because the middle of the city isn't a great place to open gates between the worlds, they decided that two of them, Grey Wolf and Night Driver, a Moros Master of Death, would take a magically enhanced pickup truck, some engineered life forms Grey Wolf had created, and some allied spirits, gun dogs, and a spirit of masculinity, called All That Is Man, through a portal that Grey Wolf would create at the compound in the desert, nearest Good Springs, and drive into the city to look for the area and see what was there. They entered the Shadow, made their way towards Las Vegas, and wound up at the Strip. The Shadow is different in a lot of ways from the material world. Distances and locations can be warped, and are subjects more to feeling than reality. As such, they were finding it difficult to navigate the Shadow to find the cultural corridor, hence why they ended up on the Strip. Unable to find a way off the Strip, Grey Wolf tried to pick a weak casino to bully into letting him through the casino and to somewhere else in Vegas. He decided to pick on Haraz. He had Night Driver pull up in front of the casino, which is a living entity in the Shadow, got out, and demanded the casino to let them through. When challenged by the spirit as to why it should, Grey Wolf responded in his thick country accent. "Because if you don't, we gonna have to fight over it. You got nothing to gain from that, and nothing to lose to let us through." Haraz was not impressed, and was basically asking for some essence, which is the stuff spirits feed on. But Grey Wolf was having none of it. He responded by drawing his guns, a pair of Desert Eagles, which, with his high dex and strength, he dual-wielded effectively. His guns were awakened spirits themselves, named Sol and Luna, gold and silver respectively. He then lobbed shots at the casino. For his efforts, the casino lifted itself up and shook the ground, launching Grey Wolf, the vehicle containing Night Driver, and the things they had brought with them into the air. They fought a bit against the casino and its spirit minions that it called to its aid. During the fight, the casino had had enough and threw the truck a good distance down the Strip. Grey Wolf, however, was not so lucky. Grey Wolf went flying off the truck bed, along with All That Is Man. There was also a few of the gun dogs, and they all flew through the air and through the Bellagio, pissing off the Bellagio. This would have obviously killed a normal human being. Grey Wolf, with his nearly bulletproof skin and superhuman stamina, just took massive damage and lost an arm. He also lost the gun that arm was holding. His body healed the damage and started regrowing his arm as he stood up to face a second, now angry casino. Night Driver, meanwhile, who did not have a healing factor and had to rely on spells to heal himself, had been fairly roughed up by the tossing of the truck, whose driver's seat he had been in. Unfortunately for him, the Matter Mage of the group, who had made the truck nearly indestructible, had accidentally made it impossible for the airbags to deploy, so they could not burst from the steering wheel as they were supposed to. After healing him as much as he could, Night Driver started to collect what engineered animals he could find, as well as what gun dogs he could gather back into the truck. Trying to make his way out of the Bellagio, Grey Wolf encountered a cigarette girl spirit and was struck with anomia, which is a spirit power that forced his character to relive a horrific memory of losing men in Syria. Grey Wolf, despite this story, is just impetuous, not stupid, and recognized the nightmare memory for what it was. He then used his mind arcana to free himself from it. As he recovered, there was a crash from above, and his gun, Luna, shouted, "Die, scumbag!" A chandelier crashed down on him, which he rolled out of the way of, and then he heard another voice. It was All That Is Man. "Do you know who I am? I am All That Is Man!" Landing in front of Grey Wolf was All That Is Man, holding Grey Wolf's severed arm, which was still holding his missing gun. All That Is Man turned away from Grey Wolf and began to use the severed limb to beat to death police spirits with a porcine aspect derived from the negative attitudes towards police officers, yelling at them, "You die now, mother floopers!" Grey Wolf quickly joined in the fight, and All That Is Man turned to him and tossed his severed arm at him while saying, "Thought that you could use a hand!" Then he went back to punching the other spirits. With the effort of 3 gun dogs and All That Is Man at his side, Grey Wolf managed to escape the Bellagio and was promptly attacked by other spirits on the strip, while Night Driver attempted to collect him. Grey Wolf got separated from All That Is Man, and he was quickly attacked by 2 human-sized playing cards with spears that were attempting to defend the strip, as he had managed to piss off everything in the vicinity. All That Is Man made it back to the truck, and began to use the turret the Cabal had attached to it to defend its occupants. Grey Wolf telepathically told Night Driver to make a run for it, stating they would have to get back together later. Night Driver managed to drive the pickup, with All That Is Man defending them, off the strip. Meanwhile, a roller coaster had managed to grab hold of Grey Wolf that launched him high into the air, away from the strip. Grey Wolf was able to guide his fall and landed in a dumpster off of the strip. While in the dumpster, Grey Wolf took a breath and muttered to himself, "That's it. I'm gonna come back after making a kaiju." That has yet to happen, although there are 2 things for an epilogue to this story. The first is that, after they eventually returned to the material plane, Grey Wolf took All That Is Man on as his familiar. Nominally, for how helpful he had been, but mostly because of the player's 80s-inspired one-liner. Much later, Slayer, the Matter Mage that had reinforced the truck and was prone to experimenting and making random, as well as potentially useful items, asked Grey Wolf if he would like a gun that could kill a building. To which Grey Wolf responded, "Yeah, there's one I have a score to settle with." Thanks again for sending in your wonderful tales. I really appreciate reading them, and that goes to all the other people that have sent in stories that I haven't gotten around to reading yet. That's gonna do it for today. And until next time, hope you feel inspired.